PDG. I am actually the one standing between you guys and lunch, so I'm going to try to make this as energetic and as lively as possible so you don't fall asleep. I promise. So, quickly before I start this presentation, I just want to show of hands of whomever. So I've been at Rutgers for 7 years. So I want to see how many different, perhaps bosses, I would say, or administration have you gone through within the past 7 years. So think back. 2017, how many people have you reported to between 2017 and 2025? So I'm going to put my hand up. 1 person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I won. I always win.
I'm at 7.
You got 7? Oh my God!
Wow.
You got 7. What school are you with? What school are you with?
University of Arkansas, Fayetteville, but I was at parking, and every time somebody did want to promote somebody, they're like, Katie's low maintenance, just get rid of her and you can get a promotion as a supervisor.
Oh, wow.
So I got bounced around to every supervisor that was in that
Okay.
office, and then I've had 2 since going to the treasurer's office, so.
Okay, okay. And what school are you from?
I'm at Florida Tech. I'm the bursar, and we've gone through a couple presidents and CFOs and controllers, and I've taken the place of a prior bursar. So.
Okay. So I'm at Rutgers and I had about 6 so far. I think this is it. We hope. So, just to give you a little bit of background about who I am, I'm Anthea Jeffrey. I'm currently the Associate Controller of Student Accounting, Billing and Cashier Services, even though I report into Enrollment and Student Finance. So, I think my title is supposed to be changing soon. We'll see about that. I've been at Rutgers for 7 years, in student services since 1998. I'm aging myself a little bit, although I only look 25. Couple of areas of oversight is student accounts, financial aid, registrars, admissions, enrollment services. I've helped with organizational restructuring, process improvement, automation, documentation. In my current operation at Rutgers, we have about 70,000 plus students. We typically bill around 1.67 billion, reconcile that. Direct payments received, which includes around e-check, credit cards, cash, payment plans, things like that, 841 million. Refunds issued, and delinquent accounts, tuition accounts collected during these past times. And a couple of areas of oversight, tuition and fee billing. I bill my department or my staff in my area bills for all the campuses. I oversee the New Brunswick Payment Center, tuition payment plan management, third-party sponsored billing for New Brunswick only. So you're going to hear me say New Brunswick and Central because I kind of have a blurred line between those 2 areas of oversight. IRS reporting, student refunds, campus-based loans, tuition AR, accounting reconciliation, and then we oversee the Student ABC website and the social media platform. Over the past 3 fiscal years, we've billed about between 1.5 and about 1.67 billion. And payments received, as I spoke about, which includes e-check, check, credit cards, cash, flywire, international payments, scholarship, third-party vendor payments, over the past 3 fiscal years have been steadily increasing. And then, of course, refunds issues. These are refunds that we process in our offices, upwards of nearly 100,000 different refunds issued in a year. And some of the process improvements that we've done over the 7 years that I've been there, our redesign of our website, just to give better information to our students, tuition remission automation. There's something called the My Rutgers portal that we helped work and helped with some improvements there. We work with Nelnet to process payments and ACH refunds. Right now we're looking to outsource the paper check process, printing process there as well too. We've created what we call a student refund team that is solely focused on processing refunds. We've consolidated our cashiering operations, so we had about 5, 6, 7, or 8 different locations where students were going all over to try to make payments, and so we've consolidated that into one payment center. We have worked with our Tableau and student accounts receivable analytics to create some analytics dashboards that's helpful for everyone with their operations. Worked on the tuition and fee subcommittee, and we created what we call an intranet with pertinent information that would help with transparency to our campus partners. And then we try to, with that, do some proactive push notifications to our campus partners. Some of them are here. Hopefully we've helped with that improvement process over the years. And so since joining Rutgers, so this is where it becomes tricky. In 2016, there was about 52 employees. And as of today, we have 26. So that's about 50% less employees over the years.
More work.
And the work is still the same,
Yeah.
right? So how did that happen? How did we decline in employees and are still able to produce good work, good satisfactory work at the same level we were when we had 52 employees? So typical questions I always receive when there's leadership change: how do you trust the new leader? And I have some people on my team that are here with me today. And I know when I came in 2017, the trust, when you're replacing someone who has been in a position for that long, I think that person was about 30-something years. Here am I, who am I coming in, talking about I'm leading this group, and they've been accustomed to someone for that long, right? So how do you build new leadership? How do you build trust with new leadership, and how do you build trust with the staff? Those are questions I typically get. And I think what I did is made sure I sat with each person to understand what they were doing. I didn't come in with you're gonna do this or you're gonna do that. I came in with a sense of community where we're gonna do this together. So that also helps you. Another thing that helps to build trust with staff is also show them what they've done. So I try to create some data where I can let them see for themselves the work that you've been doing, have been improving, and this is because of you. Not because of me, but because of all of us. So the other type of questions I typically receive is when someone leaves a position, how do you evaluate that role? How do you manage staff morale? How do you keep things going? And trust me, it wasn't a piece of cake over the last 7 years, but it wasn't bad. But I did have to navigate a lot of leadership, a lot of areas that typically kind of came in and dumped work on my staff, and I was able to let my staff know that I'm not here to accommodate something from another area that's going to affect them and their work. I'm here for them. And so we kind of worked together over the years to develop that trust with each other, with them, with me. And I think I could clearly say that they trust me now. Do you? They're nodding, they said yes. So when someone leaves a position or a position becomes vacant, these are some steps that I would like for us to think about doing to see how we can manage those positions, those change in roles, and the possibility of having hiring freezes or having to reduce staff. That's the world we live in now, so we have to think about, let's get a head start on if it actually comes up, what are we going to do? So this is not really a blueprint, but this is what I did throughout that 7 years when it was happening to me. And I think I might be an expert, so if they come tomorrow and say, we gotta cut staff, I know what to do. So first thing though, change your mindset. I had to do that because I think 9 times out of 10, when we hear you gotta cut staff, the first thing we typically do is go, oh my God, how am I gonna get this done? How am I gonna get that done? How am I gonna get this done? And I think what I did was take a step back and said, okay, this is a challenge. You want me to cut staff? I'm gonna show you I can cut staff and I could still get it done. And here is what I'm gonna do. So I work backwards. What's the end goal, right? Do we want all students to be, or all emails to be answered at the end of the day? Do we want 100% of our telephone calls answered and responded to and return calls? What is the end goal that we're trying to achieve? So, work backwards. Evaluate positions. How can each employee work smarter, not harder? We're not trying to give you more work. We're trying to see how we can help you do your work better. Evaluate processes. Do you still have paper-based processes and why? Does anybody still have paper-based processes? Why? Okay.
I don't have an answer.
Okay.
But it's awful.
You don't have the why answer?
No, I just started in our student accounting office in February, and we have automated many things since I went down there, but there are still so many things.
I feel your pain.
That was us.
I feel your pain because
We're in like 2000 still.
yes. So I walked around the office and when people saw me, they would throw paper on the desk because I would be like, why do you have paper there? What is that paper for?
I'm gonna take pictures of our filing cabinets and send them to you.
Thank you.
There's like 30 of them in our
And I can
file.
tell you what our filing cabinets used to look like and where they are now. So we can look for opportunities, right? Can we automate? Is there a better way to achieve results? Data analysis, use that to help you review year-over-year data, set goals, keep track. You watch the lines. Are students still coming in for service? What kind of service? How many students do this every day, week, month, year? And then transparency, provide resources for your services where it is easily accessible to campus partners. So one of the things I know we had as a blockage was not being able to provide documentation to our campus partners, telling them when we're going to be sending certain things out, the notifications we're going to use. We work with our campus partners to create those notifications so that everyone can feel that they are part of the process and then they know what we're going to send and when we're going to send it. And then, of course, try to use technology. So, working backwards, what's the end goal? Build trust, right? I wanted to build trust with the staff, the faculty, administration, and students. Student ABC, not that the students didn't trust us, but we're the place where we send the bills, right? Who likes the people that send them the bills? So we had to create that sort of trust where we let the students know we are an organization or department that is here to help you proactively manage your finances. We're not here to penalize you. We also wanted to maintain service excellence and reputation, provide accurate and timely service to students and families, maintain cross-campus collaboration. I don't know that is like the most important one. Cross-campus collaboration, transparency, staff morale, and team building. Those are the end goals that I wanted to achieve. And with that, how can each employee work smarter and not harder? So we had people that I actually had people on staff that came in just to open the mail. That's it. And then the pandemic happened and it did not help that person or those people that were just doing in-person opening mail, right? So we have to evaluate each position to see how we can help them grow, work smarter, automate processes, and see if we have any opportunities to even build them up, to even to manage an even bigger process, and then perhaps find promotion opportunities there, right? Evaluate the time spent by an employee to get a certain process done. If they're taking like 10 minutes to get something that could just be a button push, figure out why that is happening, figure out how you can help that person work better, work smarter, not harder. We don't want them stressed. We don't want the person overworked either. Do they need assistance more than usual? If they do, perhaps there's a training issue there. Figure out how we can get them some training through HR resources like LinkedIn Learning, things like that. Ask questions, don't assume, ask. Provide support and then listen. That's so important. Listen, don't ignore or don't make it seem like that person is just complaining for no reason. Listen to them. They're telling you something really important. We're going to evaluate processes. Do you still have paper-based processes and why? I know you can't answer it. But look for the paper process and the manual processes and figure out why they do exist. Figure out what's the storage capacity if you still have paper process. How long do you have to store them for? That's a cost, right? Can they be converted to electronic or online? How many of these transactions still exist? How long do they take to complete? Those are sort of questions and blueprint that I kind of followed in order to help me get to where we are today. And then why are so many students and staff asking for something to be done? And then what is the training that's necessary to help? So can you think of a paper-based process, any one of you that, I'm gonna pick on you today. What is your paper-based process and how do you think you can figure that out?
So one of our main paper-based processes that is the biggest pain point for me currently is all of the automatic ACHs that come out of our bank account monthly.
Automatic ACH, okay.
Yep, so we automatically pay bills through our ACH. They debit our account.
Okay.
And we have to manually do journal entries for all of those every month.
Okay.
So, I mean, it takes time to create the journal entry, time to enter the journal entry. That journal entry then has to be approved before it's going to show up for the reconciliation.
Okay. And we did have some paper-based journal entry processes that are now automated. So if you want to touch base to see how we did it, I'm here. We're happy to help. Any other paper-based process that anyone has that they're trying to figure out and they just don't know how to get over that edge? No? Okay, everybody else is automated. And no paper-based. So again, can you automate? Why are we getting so many calls? Sometimes, so what we did when I got there is we all of these questions came about, and what we did, we put a survey in our signature that says, tell us how we're doing. Students, whenever we sent an email or whenever we sent a notification to students, they had access to that survey, and they told us exactly what was happening. They didn't want to come in. they just wanted something as simple as, where is my refund answered, right? So how can we get that information to the student before they ask us? Perhaps we can do like a refund tracker. When you process your refunds, let's think about when you're getting your tax refund and you go into the IRS website, it tells you where it is in the process, it's being processed, or it's being delivered, or it's gonna be sent on October 10th. I haven't gotten a tax refund in a while, so, so I don't know what it says to you, but at least it gives you a track to let you know that it's still processing, so you're not calling every 5 minutes to ask where's my refund. You actually are able to find that information for yourself. So we were able to give students proactive information, self-service information, so that they didn't have to keep calling us and emailing us the same thing over and over again. We also started putting together data, statistics that comes out every week, and we started reviewing the year-over-year data and set goals, right? So if we placed 10,000 holds in students who had outstanding balances this year, so that 10,000 students can't register, our goal is to go to 8,000 next year, then 7,000 and 5,000. Set goals and try to exceed them. How can your email, telephone calls, in-person service be tracked? How do you know how many calls you're getting on a daily basis or weekly basis or yearly basis? And what are students calling about? I mentioned the surveys, I mentioned the data tracking that we send out. We send out stats every week just to let everyone know where we are in terms of our outstanding accounts receivable balances. How often is the data being reviewed? We review it weekly, so we stay on track. We can tell, oh my God, we are so behind from last year. Perhaps we need to send dunning notices, telephone call blast, text messaging this week, or double up this week, next week before registration happens. Things like that, your data is able to help you with. We're gonna watch the Lions with Miss Tammy.
As soon as I saw it, I went.
We have our superstar right here, Miss Tammy. So watch the lines, right? Are students still coming in for service, and what kind of service? I keep saying that over and over again because the students are gonna tell you exactly what they want and what they're looking for. And if they do that, you can tell them before they even come. So you have a mechanism in place, things in place that you can do in order to get these students the information before they even come to you, right? Gather data through survey, as I spoke before, and listen to your customers. Then transparency. Provide resources for your students, your policies for students to be aware of what is a hold policy, why they're on hold, what causes you to get on hold. Provide information to your campus partners so that they are able to help with serving the greater good of the university. Create an intranet where I can't tell you enough how many people are like, well, what notifications are you sending to students? How often are you sending it? When is the bill going out? When is the payment due date? We have all that information available to our campus partners so that they can help, especially like, let's say they are providing academic advising to students, and the student is letting them know that they're gonna have an issue getting whatever information they need to get in time. They can tell them, look, you need to get it before this date because registration is coming up and I need you to get your classes in place before that time. So once everyone has that information, they're able to help the student, help you get your AR down, and then help each other, right? So we're all gonna be helping each other with that. The transparency helps. You're gonna meet with your team regularly if you can. I meet with mine every Friday morning at 9:30. whether they like it or not, but it's a really good chance for us to get together at the end of the week and just talk about all of the things that came up, what we can do better, and how we can support each other. Maybe one team member and their group may need some help with refunding. We'll be able to help pivot that and help with supporting that team member. Meet with your campus partners regularly. We have like a monthly governance meeting that we meet, and we talk about what's happening at different campuses, what their students are experiencing, how we can make it better for all of us. And we're gonna update auto responses. Those are some of the things that we've been doing. So we have auto responses that give students, hey, if you were sending this email to do X, Y, and Z, here is where you go to get your refund information. Here is where you go to get your transcript. Here is where you go to make a payment. And then, of course, provide self-help tools for our customers. Technology. So we implemented Salesforce in 2020, the Oracle Student Financial Planning in October 2021. That's the financial aid system that we're using at Rutgers. Tableau, ChatGPT, Grammarly. Trust me, Grammarly has helped me a great deal. And the Tableau that we've been using is what we created our dashboards to provide for us to operate and for the greater financial community at the university. And then just listing some creative ways to leverage technology, outsourcing. So you guys are at a conference here with a lot of your vendors. Believe it or not, just the other day, we were thinking about, I forgot the process we were thinking about, and I went to my procurement office and they were like, oh, we already have this company at the university. Perhaps you can look at the contract and see if you can get an amendment to do X or Y. So speak with your vendors, see how they can help you with some of your processes, help you outsource, and you don't have to lift the whole heavy weight by yourself. Don't be afraid to voice your thoughts and ideas in your campus. I think sometimes, I don't know if who is in this room are the decision makers, or who in this room are trying to convince the decision makers to have an open mind. So there's two different things that's going on or could be going on in here. I am partly decision maker, but I also have to convince my superiors to go left or go right. But I also do that with data. So I think if you say something like, there's a lot of students coming in and I think that they're gonna like this thing, that is not gonna help me decide. What's gonna help me decide is showing me the numbers. I have 10,000 students coming in to ask for X, and it's been consistently 10,000 students over the years. What can we do to reduce that 10,000 students? That would help with decision making and help move the needle if you're thinking about that with your superiors. So don't be afraid of data. And then I just wanted to share some pictures of us being happy. I think when we talk about doing more with less, our expectation is that everyone is overworked. I feel like they're not. I don't think so, right? But I just wanted to show that we do have what we call like staff retreats, where we just all get out of the office, we all regroup, we all chit chat, and I'll tell you right now, nobody is scared to tell me if I'm wrong. And I am not scared to hear that either. So just be open with your respective staff, have them voice their true opinions. They will be able to help you, and hopefully you will be able to help them and convince senior leadership with supporting you in your automation. And so if anyone would like to connect with me, here is my information, and I will also be up here for a little bit. They told me I can't sing or rap. Otherwise, you guys would have had a nice show. But does anyone have any questions for me? And is anyone going through a change in, yeah, go ahead.
I was raising my hand for a question. So was the initial trigger for having to reduce staff just budget constraints, or was it just can you start cutting back on it, or were you told that you have to cut by this many people? I just want to know what triggered this whole down.
Yeah, so every year, of course, within the 7 years, I've had 6 or 7 different bosses that had 7 different goals to attain. So one person may be like, let's get rid of all the cashiers office. And so I'm like, okay, that's my goal this year, right? What can we do? Other one is like, let's automate, right? And so what I ended up doing is, after I started reporting to my third, I started driving that decision, right? I started saying, hey, we have people on my staff that are so good, they are grossly undervalued or underpaid, and I know that they have the ability to do more. Let's think about reevaluating some of those positions. If I have to give up one position to get someone a promotion and then be able to manage that work smartly, then let's do that. I prefer to do that instead. And so the pandemic actually kind of was the turning point where a lot of us had to reimagine work a little differently. And so that, although we started before the pandemic is what helped everyone to say, oh, I see where you're going, so let's just do this, right? So it was some of my decisions, some of their decisions, some of their goals, a mixture of everything.
So did you have to outright fire anybody, or were you just, as people just left naturally, you just closed the position they were in?
1 or 2 people I may have had to let go. She's like 1 or 2. No. So a couple of them I did have to let go. A couple of them retired during the pandemic. And then when we had to make the decision to close some of the cashiers up, we're going to go cashless until there was a policy in New Jersey that said we had to take cash. So we had to create the payment center. And the thing about it, though, our cashiers were only bringing in 1% of any payments that I just posted, only 1%. So we had about 6 cashiers with, and I did the numbers, right? The salaries, the fringe, and everything for all the cashiers was about $650,000. And we're bringing in about $1 million or whatever dollars. So when you take a look at that, how can we use these cashiers differently, right? They're sitting there waiting, literally waiting for somebody to come in with a payment when they can actually be utilized to do something better. So smarter, not harder.
Do you guys accept credit cards at your cashier window?
No, we don't. They do that online. Only cash and check.
We've even tried to, we have gone cashless, for the most part, although we have, our state doesn't permit us from doing that. I know Colorado also says they can't do that, but I'm in Arkansas. But our bank next door to us, who's trying to get a little bit more of our business that we do have an account with, was like, hey, you can send your students to us, and we'll deposit their cash money into your big, business account, and then you can sort it out from there if you would like us to. They're trying to get some more business from us. But it's worked out. We have about 3 dozen students, mostly international students, that are having to pay with cash, and that's not becoming an overwhelming amount of work or anything, but it has allowed our office to keep our cash flow out.
Right.
We're still doing RSO deposits, which is the registered student organizations, because we don't really trust them to do their own banking. Can't imagine why. They start doing Venmo and all sorts of crazy things, I'm sure. But We have that cash in, but we're not taking cash payments for student payments directly.
Right. We're trying to do that with our, credit union, but what we thought about is what happens is students come on the day that they need to register. They need to make that payment right away, the whole needs to leave right away. But if they go to the credit union, we would have to wait until the credit union confirmed that they made the deposit before they get the whole
Yeah, we
release.
get the receipt emailed it to us directly by the bank as soon as they do the deposit, just like they do the deposits for all.
Same day?
The part, yeah, same day, usually within like 15 minutes after the payment was made. And then my cashiers, we have a separate separate email account that's just between us and the bank. And the bank emails any receipts they get from any of the departments making deposits, and then also those students making those cash payments that we get them processed basically as they come in.
That sounds like a good idea.
How do the payments hit the student's account?
Basically, so they dump it into our business account,
Yeah.
and then cash management, because I forward the email receipt to them after my cashiers are done with it. And, cash management does an HBT to our student account part of it inside Workday. And then we manually make a payment inside PeopleSoft. We are switching to Workday students soon, but we're currently in PeopleSoft. But my cashiers will use the correct item type, pulling out of the student account, student clearing account basically, that payment. I double check that payment posted with the correct amount, and then I forward it on cash management to the HBT later. So there's a little bit extra work for cash management on that.
Yeah.
But since we only have about 3 dozen students doing it that way, if we had hundreds, we probably would have to reassess the situation. But for that few, it hasn't, created a lot of extra work.
Right.
How big is your student population?
About 34 to 36,000, I'm not sure exactly where we're sitting
It's a
right
big-
now, but we're
it's
not,
a big-
we're not like huge, but we're not teeny tiny either.
Right,
so.
right, that's a big population now. Any other questions? Yeah.
So when you're managing, kind of going through like restructuring, all of that, how do you approach succession planning? And like laying out that work that like if you, I have a director who is retiring at the end of May. She has more than 40 years of institutional knowledge that's just like going with her on a cruise forever. So, we're starting to panic a little bit on the inside because they still haven't told us how we're going to be restructured, so, but
So,
regardless,
can I just give a different
Yeah.
thought to that?
yes.
Maybe you don't need her 40 years, right? Maybe it's time to just think differently. Because I'm not saying that she did a bad job,
Yeah.
but someone in a position for 40 years in one role is great, that's good, but they are thinking about it from one perspective, because that's all they've been
Yeah.
thinking about for 40 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when I came into Rutgers, I am glad that I didn't meet the person for 40, was it 40 years? I'm glad that I didn't meet the person, but I also had staff that didn't understand me as yet, right? Because I had a different way of managing. And so we're at this point where we understand each other now. But you probably are better off if you think about things from a fresh page. Not saying throw away everything that she knew, but you probably might have some outside the box theories or ideas that could help make it better. And if you want to talk about it some more, we can after the session, but I think we get kind of caught up in this, oh my God, how did somebody do a job, or how did somebody in a position do this, when we actually could probably do it differently. I'm not saying better or worse, but differently, and perhaps come out with the same end result that we all want, and maybe manage it efficiently or more efficiently than we ever could imagine. I think you're gonna be fine. I think you're gonna be fine. I don't want you to get caught up in this, how did, 40 years is leaving and I'm new. You're gonna be just fine. Yeah. It's not a miracle though. It's gonna take some time and hard work, but I think thinking outside the box and just, making sure you listen to your employees and actually the students and your customers, that would help you thrive where your business is gonna go. What school are you with?
I'm with University of Massachusetts Lowell.
Okay.
So.
I think another important, she's my boss. Another important, thing to think about in terms of 40 years leaving, right, is to talk to every single person in the position and ask them, what are some process improvements that you think need to be made and how can you make them, right? So when she came, the person who was in charge was very tight. She didn't let us grow. We were stuck. You did what she told you to do, period, right? And so I've been at Rutgers for 30 years. So for 30 years, that's all we knew. And that was our mindset. And so when Anthea came, we couldn't get with her. She didn't understand. She didn't understand because she was like, what are you doing? Like, she was the one to say, you're better than this. Like, you can be here and you're here. And that's because of the prior boss. Stifled us, right? She kept us in, that position. But when Anthea came, like, you're gonna now, I think you're gonna be in a position, or someone, right?
We're not sure.
Right.
And I guess that's part of the problem, is not knowing what the new structure is going to look like.
Right.
That director role.
Right.
Because there's still we don't know if we're gonna hire a new director. We don't know if we're gonna give you an interim and then make them a senior associate director. And then the reporting structure is all different. Like, a lot of it is the unknowns.
Okay.
Of what the office will actually look like.
I think so with the unknown, right? You can start now.
Right. I was
Right?
just gonna
Start
say
now.
that, yeah.
Like, just keeping those whys together. Like, we do get a lot of questions like, why do we process things this
Right.
way? And it's often the answer is
Because we always did it
we've
that
always
way.
done it this way. And I like change and I kind of look forward to it, but I work with a lot of, I think this is just finance and AR in general, we're very anti-change sometimes.
Yes.
Because we want things to be the same and to be.
Because that's the way I was taught.
Yes, yes. I got a lot of that. I got a lot of that. And I got a lot of, well, just tell me what to do. I'm like, no, I'm not telling you what to do. What do you think you need to do? Tell me what you think you need to do. And then as you speak to someone, you realize that they have it. It's just that this is how they were managed in the past. Yeah.
How do you balance wanting to cross-train employees as well as being facing with separation of duties? So you want to cross-train, have the employees to cross-train, but you're also looking at separation of duties and what the employees can and cannot do. So how do you balance that?
So, so we're not doing anything in the student ABC area that I think would cause something like that. So, except for the people that are billing, we keep them separately. So we kind of have, I'll tell you the structure: the billing team, the refunds team, cashiers, collections, and reconciliation. So we have teams there. So they can cross-train on the billing, they can cross-train on the cashiers, or they can cross-train on the refunds. But refunds and billing would not, right? The other thing that we had at Rutgers, or we currently have at Rutgers, is about 26 different unions. So we had a few of them in my area. So we had some people on tea break at 9:15 doing the same job as another union that doesn't get a tea break at 9:15. So all of that we were dealing with. I mean, I did kind of skirt around that with an unorthodox way of doing it. I'm not telling you to do it like me. But I was able to repurpose positions that they all were from one union. So I was able to help, not drive myself crazy with trying to get schedules and all that stuff, and just have one union that I'm dealing with. I know when I came first, there were a lot of grievances that I was in, but I haven't seen a grievance in a while. So I guess, things are looking a little better. But in terms of your specific question, what were you thinking about when you talk about separation of duties? What specific issue are you having?
Like in our department, of course, we're with the treasurer's office at North Carolina A&T State University. We don't so much have teams in different, like you say, you have a team doing refunds, you have a team doing billing, team. We have bodies, or a person.
Okay.
Like I have one person that is doing refunds, and I have no one else to do refunds but that person. I have.
Got it.
I have two people that is doing certifications. So those two people, they can pretty much cross-train because of the base that we we're doing business with. And then with our collections, we have one person doing collections, and then we have one person doing, what's the other one? We have three cashiers. One of them is full-time, and the other one is they are, temp workers. They're temp workers. So my goal is to cross-train, have bodies where I can cross-train, this group will learn what this does, as, and it just goes back and forth, and then we just continue to do that until we have everyone in the department that knows how to do this, that, and the third, and so that if there's anyone ever to be out, for any particular reason, then it will be a flawless, process. We can always have someone to fill in.
It makes sense, yeah. Also, are you leveraging your vendors? Are you leveraging your vendors? Because some of them could help you, like you talked about collections, perhaps some of your vendors could work with you to help you do some collections outreach and things like that. They can. I know they can because they help us. When it comes to refunds and things like that, there may be some options that you can utilize with them, so you're not burdening yourself and staff and all that stuff. You could probably help with some automation there, that all you just need to look at is your exception. You're not looking at everything, you're just looking at the exceptions or something like that. And we can talk more, because I think what happens too at Rutgers, which is so unique, is that we have a very, very old system, and it drives us to be very creative. And with that, we have been very creative, especially with thinking about outside the box. So 9 times out of 10, I know we are utilizing the vendors that we're working with to help us with a lot of the processes. And we're not burdening staff. That's why I could probably have 26 people, down from 52, still working at the same rate, still satisfaction rate, working with our vendors, having them help us with some of those things that is making us overworked. And they could actually help you with that. And sometimes the cost is just, it's not cost prohibitive.
And one of the things I would say, I do a lot of cross-training with my group as well. But to document everything, have the person that's there document and then record it. Like, so I do a team, when somebody says they're retired and they're leaving,
Yes.
we get on a team to talk about the process. I have my rest of the staff there, they ask questions about the process. And so then it's recorded. And then we can come back to it in a week, a month, 2 months. But if you haven't documented, then even if you like Anthony said, even if you don't use it, you can build on it, you can break it down, you can increase or whatever. But you have that documented, how it was done.
Right.
And then you approve on it from there.
And that is something that we just recently, got done with, doing, we went through a third party, vendor that has helped us with, document our SOPs
Yes.
for different, job responsibilities. and
Yes.
duties. So we now have, SOPs that are now about, because that was one of the things, a challenge for, our department in knowing that kind of like have a high turnaround, with employees coming and going, and you wanna make sure that you have those SOPs in place, because you just never know.
Right.
A person may never know when it's gonna be their last day, but you wanna be able to perform and still function in a flawless, process. And so that work, it still has to get done. So we have, put that into place where we have worked, with a company that has helped us, put our SOPs into place. So, that it has really helped us. Like I said, I just recently, not too long ago, lost, the person who's been there for years doing, refunds. And so when she left, because she had been there for so long.
Yes.
And she was familiar, she could do it, probably do her eyes closed. And everybody was so used to knowing that she did it and, oh, it's gonna fall because she's leaving. And so when she left, of course, I was her supervisor. I had to step in because I didn't have anyone currently. And it was a great opportunity for me because it gave me the chance to learn.
To learn, yes.
And so I took it, on my shoulders and I, well learned the process. It was great for me, but like I said, having the SOPs, on file really helped. It helped me and it helped me to understand what is done, everything that is done, within that process.
Yeah, and I would recommend for everyone, make sure you have your job descriptions for everybody, everything looked at right now, what is going on in the world. There's a lot of hiring freezes at universities, so you want to make sure you're proactively preparing in case any of that happens, that you are in a better place if it drops, like you have hiring freeze or you have to cut staff. Here is what you can do, because you have your job descriptions reviewed. I am available at this information or after, anywhere you see me. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day and enjoy lunch.